You know, if I had it my way, this is where I would put Ray Charles's Georgia on my mind as a background music. But I'm not trying to get shut down. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood already did it. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The sixth episode of season 3 of Silo is here. It is called Radio. It is by far my favorite episode of the season for a couple of reasons. One, there is that ticking clock of tension moment that Silo can do so well when it actually gets to it. That happens in this episode, but also there's a progression of story that happens. You actually learn things while it's still a little piece of here. It actually progresses the story as opposed to what I feel like the last couple of episodes have been a lot of spinning its wheels. I'm going to flip it this time though. Usually I start with the Daniel and Helen story and end with Silo 18. I'm going to actually start with Silo 18 because the Daniel stuff, that's fun. We get some big revelations on the back end of their story. Silo 18. Robert heads down to down the silo to give Jules a warning to let her know he's trying to hide in shadows, trying to hide in secrecy, but he knows there's a tail. He's trying to avoid cameras because he of all people knows where cameras are. At least so he thinks. Assuming Camille has not installed any new ones, but he gets to Jules and gives her a heads up, like, "Hey, the water supply is already tainted. She's already put the drug in there. Don't drink the water. Drink milk, juice. Get some electrolytes. Electrolytes. If they have Gatorade down there in the silo, drink that, but don't drink the water. Also, whatever it is that you're planning to do, act now because you don't have much more time." He also lets her know that, hey, this is the last time we're going to be able to have any communication because she's on to me. She's having me followed. So good luck and Godspeed. Jules quickly goes to Kyle and Kennedy and is like, look, time's moved up. You guys are up. We're going to send you out to clean now. Kyle's all about it. Kyle's like, let me go do it. Kennedy seems to be having some reservations for somebody who has actively been all about going outside, going outside, going outside. He now has the opportunity to do so. He's like, well, hold on. Maybe I don't want to do so. For him, he's thinking about it like, I don't want to do what it is you want me to do. Because Jules wants them to go and cap and figure out how they cap the gas and did all the gas stuff over there. She's using the guise of sending them out to say, hey, go get those kids that saved my life and bring them back. But she cares less about that and more about, hey, I'm here to cap. Like I want you guys to cap. She speeds up the process. She tells Danny to go turn off the screen, the visor in the cafeteria so that nobody can really see what actually is happening on the other side. And then they hurry up and speed up and get Kyle and Kennedy out to go clean. And trying to do so to beat and not alert Camille as to them getting them out there. Now, in this getting them out there, Kennedy says, look, when I get out here, I'm going to get Kyle to 17. But once I get him there, I'm going to go do my own. And Jules like, fine, that I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. So a line of communication is built between Walker and Kyle. So one-to-one. Kennedy's headset does not have it. And they're also set up communication so that they will do so in secrecy so that nobody can understand what they're saying on the comms. And so they use code names and code words to go ahead and do all of this. So they get out of 18, and Kennedy is kind of saddened to learn that it's nothing. Like, as far as he can see, it's death and nothing. He can't make anything out of it. Kyle was a little bit more amazed to see there's like some stars happening and some beautiful stuff happening in the sky that he's kind of amazed by to actually see, because obviously they spent their entire life in the silo. Very different ways of looking at how the world looks to them after being trapped in that world for so long. That more so because of expectations. Kennedy was expecting suns and rainbows, basically what the visor had given. That's not what's happening. Kyle had sort of prepped himself, and this was still something that is amazing to him. Walker does a quick check-in to be like, hey, everything looked good out there. You guys are good, as they start making their way on. And then all of a sudden, they start hearing a buzzing sound, almost sounding like bees a little bit. It starts buzzing a little bit. And then we don't see any more shots of Kyle and Kennedy. We're only hearing it from the side of Walker. And all of a sudden, it sounds like gunshots are heard. And then the frequency goes dead. and they can't hear them anymore, which signals to Jules that, oh crap, they have just wiped these two folks off. And so Jules quickly is like, all right, everybody get back to what they were doing. We can't let on that we knew what was happening. Status quo, go cut the visor, go cut the cafeteria screen back on. Everybody go back to your rooms. Shit just went down. Camille goes to the voice and gets sort of a heads up that the safeguards are not, is not a preventable thing. Jules, however, may have the method to do so. And so we need to make sure that Jules is not going back to 17 to figure out how they did that, and that she's actually going there for the reasons that she said, which is for the kids. And so Camille goes to Jules's door and is like, hey, I thought we were waiting to send folks out. And Jules like, yeah, well, the time and opportunity came now. Suits came. We felt we needed to speed up the process a little bit. Now she's grilling her about why she sped up the time and what it is that she's trying to go to the silo to get. And Jules stays strong and like, nope, I was going to get the kids. That was what I was going to go do. They saved me. I was going to go get them back. Now, mind you, both of them on both sides of the door had their hand on a gun in case either one of them step out of line or say something sideways that lets them know what's up. They're ready to fire on each other. That conversation ends though beautifully in that Camille asks, like, hey, well, they're gone, and this is on you. Perhaps if you had waited for and not rushed things, we could have gotten them suits that were proper and set up. And Jules is like, well, good to know that we should take more time to make bulletproof suits, which gives them both a sort of the heads up that I know more than either of us are letting on right now. But back the hell up. While that is happening, Billings is still doing his story on the side. Billing and Hank go see Ed Harwood and ask about Orla's body being moved post being killed. And they're kind of just like, hey, is it possible to move bodies around without any of the cameras picking it up? And Ed's been a bit of an a-hole and kind of like, yeah, you can do magic. And he's pushing back on them. He doesn't respect the office. He definitely doesn't respect Billings. And he's just like, look, Orla took my daughter's job, and so whatever happened to her sort of happened. I'm not helping you guys. Get the hell out of my face. While that's happening, Walker, Knox, Jules, the whole crew is coming up with an idea because plan one failed. And they're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next plan that they can come up with that would also prevent the most loss of casualty of life, because everything they keep coming up with is like, oh yeah, it's going to be 500 people dead or 1,000 people dead. It's going to be half the silo dead. And so Bernard is kind of like, well, look, the only person here that can actually make this decision, make this choice, is Jules. That's who the community put as the mayor. They picked you for that person because you could make these decisions and you need to make these decisions. So maybe you need to take a moment, which she does. This is all on you. Meanwhile, Knox learns that his dad actually is not dead. And that his dad has sort of played this game where, with Ed Harwood, has played this game where, hey, I'm going to find me a body, and then when that person dies, I'm going to use that person's and their information as a way for me to go off the radar, go hidden. And so I will use their death as my death, and that's sort of what happened. And he learns this and wants to sort of push hard on Harwood, but everybody's like, nah, you shouldn't do that. Like, you should leave well enough alone. If Harwood is involved, you don't want any parts of what's happening to this. So you see the Knox, Billing, Hank, Harwood pieces all sort of coming together. And Harwood is a bigger piece to all of this than is actually being led on. So Bernard has Jules meet Blast from the Past, one of the leads of the flamethrowers, if you remember that from season 1, Gloria Hildebrandt, who was believed to have been memory wiped and taken off the board. He has her meet with her because to sort of reinvigorate that fire, reinvigorate the flamethrower, sort of get her back on like, hey, you are the chosen one. You have to make this decision. You're going to have to make tough decisions. Some decisions you may not like. Some decisions may seem like they aren't for the better good. You may lose life in it, but you have to do the necessary and dirty things to make sure that overall the life of the silo is preserved and you're doing what's best to get us back on the path that we were before people made decisions for us. So then Jules is like, okay, well, we got to go get some passes from judicial to get us into the judicial room to set up what they're basically trying to set up, which is essentially they're planning to blow up the pieces of the silo to get the gas to start going out so that then they can cap it, kind of create the safeguard piece that has to happen here. And so Jules and Sims play a shell game. This is where you're going to learn the dads are not observant. Like if you're a dad, I'm in the same boat. He gets caught up because he's a dad. But Jules and Robert play a shell game with his son's jacket. And so to get the passes to Jules, he sends his son to school with a jacket that he originally did not want to go to school with. So it's already sort of, no, I don't want to do this. Mom, Camille, said, no, take the jacket. Everybody wants to have the jacket at class. It's going to look good on your, I think they're taking a class photo. Robert eventually is like, okay, well then just take the jacket to class. You don't have to wear it. If you don't see anybody wearing it, perfectly fine, not a big deal. So he takes it and gives it to him, and then he uses that to put the passes in. So because on the flip side, Jules has one of her folks go and pick up the jacket and then swap it with the other so that it doesn't look like he was ever without a jacket, and they get the passes. Pretty smart shell game. It seems smart, very Ocean's 11. Seems like everything is working. No one's ever going to get caught up there. So then the plan's afoot. They send the folks up there to go get into judicial. They send 6 people in. They're basically going to be placing bombs all over the area. Unfortunately, though, what happens at the same time is Camille goes back home to Robert and ask him to sort of make a move down to judicial to go see a prisoner with her. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll go with you. And so as they're making their way to judicial, they get the team that Jules has put into place sees them and is like, hey, as an FYI, 2 heavies have just gone into judicial, which is code words for Camille and Robert. And Jules makes the call to keep going. Like, it's tough. She's like, I don't want to have to do this, but again, off like the conversation that she had with Gloria, like this is all being done for a better good. And so she makes the call. It's like, no, continue on. They continue on, and they're setting all the bombs. Everything's going. They set them. Timer starts going off. While that's happening, inside the judicial, in the prisoner room with Amy, who was the nurse that had switched out the drugs for Jules, so she could start remembering things. Camille has brought Robert into that room and then closes the door and has a gun and is questioning what Robert has been doing. Because she's like, I told you to stand down. I told you to stop doing whatever it is you're doing. So right now I need you to tell me what it is you're doing. What's going on? What's happening? Because the jacket that you used in the shell game with our son, getting him involved in all of this mess, didn't have his name in it. Damn it, dads. You got to watch out for stuff like this. If you're gonna play this game, you got to look for all the things that moms sort of know to, like, oh yeah, that's not his binky, that's not his blanket. It didn't have his initials stitched into it or written into it. Sloppy fathers. So she's holding him dead to rights. Like, look, I will shoot this heifer. I will shoot her if you don't start giving me some information. And he's very much like, don't. Please think about that. She's like, you've done worse. And he's like, yeah, I have done worse. I'm a terrible human being. But our kid should not have 2 parents who are out here just murdering people. Let me take that burden. You keep your hands clean. You don't need to do this. That's the last we see of them. As all of this is happening in real time, the threat of them all being blown to holy hell is happening at the same time because those timers are going down. Everything's set. And then the radio goes off in Walker's room. And they start getting the code names that Kyle had. And Kyle's like, I got the kids. The kids are safe. We've capped the stuff. We're coming back in. And that immediately is like, oh, great. That's great. Come back in. And Jules like, shit, we got to stop the bombs. Like, we abort that mission. And so you see them frantically going around because they have set the timer for each. So they have to stop the timer for each 6, setup pieces that they have for the bomb. So they're doing that. Pretty tense scene. We haven't had one of these in a while. It actually all works out. Clock stops. Everything's fine. Now, I will say this, and this is where this gets really funky. We heard gunshots. We heard a buzz. And the voice did say that they were going to, if we saw Kyle and Kennedy go out there, they were going to do everything humanly possible to wipe them off the board. And even the voice says, they've been neutralized. Which leads me to question, is the voice responsible for that radio call that stopped the bomb? Like, were they on to the bombs happening and like, hey, we got to shut this down? Put a voice out there to say, hey, this is happening, to stop this. Because we still have not seen Kyle or Kennedy. We're just assuming that they made it based on what the voice said, but based on what the radio call said. But I am of the belief that the voice from IT is responsible for that call to get the bomb stopped and to also make them sort of stand down, which is some dirty stuff. And I'm all for it. I can't wait to see what happens on the other side of that. Back with Daniel and Helen, they're still standing outside that hangar, and they're being basically given ultimatums. But Charlotte arrives outside of the hangar, and she has a good chunk of her memory back. She's starting to get her memory back. She remembers Daniel. And Senator is telling Helen and Daniel, like, hey, look, we got a whole bunch of lawyers in here. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening here. You come sign the paperwork and we will let you know about everything. But we cannot give you any information about what's happening here until you sign this paperwork. Then Per Stinson arrives. It's played by Colin Hanks. And he is a multi-billionaire, sort of funding all it is that is happening here. He's also sort of giving them the heads up, like, hey, you got to sign these or we're going to throw you somewhere in Guantanamo Bay. Like, you'll never be found again. And if it ups the ante a little bit to get you to sign these, well, I'll give you $1 million each. Like, let's just hurry this up and go save the world. That's what they keep saying. Like, hey, you sign this, get on the other side of this, get with the program. We will all be responsible for helping to save the world. Charlotte has already signed because it gave her some of her memories back. And she's like, look, I want to know what happened to me up there on that plane. So I signed so I can get more information. I think you should too. Daniel's all in, and then Helen eventually follows. We learn that Charlotte has gotten her most recent memories back, the stuff that about going up there on the battle and the plane, but a lot of her past memories are still vaulted, and they're sort of peeling them back layer by layer and kind of choosing which memories it is that she gets. As we learn a little later that Victor tells Daniel that he's the one responsible for coming up with all these memory drugs. He's the one for Charlotte getting her memory back and also losing it. But he says, I tested this all on myself. Like, I am the one who chose that because I wanted certain memories gone. Like, he lost his daughter. So he's like, I put this drug on me so then I could go back and kind of pluck in and put around the memories that I wanted, but keeping that memory removed so I don't have to feel that or feel that pain. It's a weird, I get it. I understand that there are some things that tragically you don't want to have to feel, but it is a part of what makes you whole. So it's a weird thing to choose what you do and don't take out. Helen has a moment with the mysterious man. We still don't get to know his name or a lot about him, but we do know that he has some experience. And he has been with the senator as sort of being his catch-all, the one who sort of does all the things that it is that she needs to have done. But the big piece of this, the big reveal of the Helen Daniel story is that this rich billionaire has cleared off and purchased about 45 acres of land in Georgia. That is immediate clicks like, that's 45 acres. That should cover about 18 of these silos. That is where these silos are being built. And then as they are taking a plane to land into seeing the sites of where Georgia is, you start seeing these massive, just massive drills about the size of what a silo would be, uh, drilling down a hole into one of the acres in this Georgia land that has been purchased. And then it all starts to come together like, this is where it's all being built. And that's how the episode ends. A really powerful episode. This by far is the best episode of the season because you got a lot of storytelling and advancing the story in the Helen and Daniel piece, and you got some intense stuff that's happening in Silo 18, which still isn't on the up and up. We don't know what happens to Robert. We don't know how that situation is going to come about. But the biggest thing is like, who is the voice on that radio? Because I don't believe it's Kyle. And so that's going to be the big reveal of how much does the entity voice, the IT voice, know, and how are they able to now replicate other voices to put this in play? Because I just don't feel like they actually made it. We heard gunshots, we heard buzzing, and they specifically said they've been neutralized. So yeah, what do you guys think about this episode? And do you think that is the voice that they heard on that radio to stop the bombing? Was that Lucas Kyle? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at hollywoodadi, or you can hit us on email at hollywoodalreadydidit@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.